Welcome back to Breakfast. The British democracy has been shaken by revelations of cheating by the Vote Leave campaign during the Brexit referendum. They've been found guilty of breaking electoral law, with 2 people now being referred to the police. So what does this all mean for the future of Brexit? To explain, we have Professor Robert Patman from Otago University. Good morning.
Good morning, Hayley.
Can you just try and explain to us what's going on here?
It's a good question, but there's been, in May, LeaveEU, which was one of the major campaigning groups for Brexit, was fined for overspending. And now Vote Leave, which was fronted by Michael Gove, who's a cabinet minister, and Boris Johnson, until recently Foreign Secretary, that has just been fined this week more than 60,000. And also matters have been referred to the police for further investigation. This is actually very serious because Vote Leave, which goes right to the cabinet, including the one of the Prime Minister's advisors is linked to that group, they have committed probably the biggest overspend, the biggest electoral irregularity since the 19th century. I mean, we have to remember that this very contentious referendum in Britain, which has pushed Britain towards Brexit, was decided by a wafer-thin majority of 3.7%, but one side overspent by 10%. So this has big implications, and it will probably renew the demand for a second referendum once the implications sink in.
How likely is that second referendum? This first one obviously was non-binding, so any new referendum has to be proposed by Parliament.
Yes.
Is it likely?
I don't think so at the moment, but there's 2 things that are going to happen, I think. Firstly, the EU are fully aware of what's happening. And if they think they're dealing with a negotiating partner which is not legitimate, this is a very big blow to the legitimacy of the Brexit case. If they will harden their negotiating position, and we've already seen signs of that in the last 24 hours. And I think internally, it's going to increase pressure now on the Labour leadership, Mr Corbyn, to actually come out against Brexit.
These are actually criminal offences.
Yes.
Do you think that we need a public inquiry here, or will there be one?
At the moment, you see, Mrs May owes her position to the outcome of the referendum. So she doesn't actually relish or want to open up a systematic police inquiry into what's happened, because ultimately she's the political beneficiary of that process. We're not seeing the equivalent of a Mueller investigation in British politics at the moment. But, you know, looking in the longer term, it's a big blow. And it's probably, if you were talking in terms of political outcomes, it's probably pushing Britain closer to a no-deal situation with the EU, because the EU, I think, will harden their position in light of this. And secondly, at the moment, this additional information only highlights the turmoil within the ruling Conservative Party, which for 2 years hasn't really been able to put together a coherent position on leaving the EU.
Goes against the democratic principles of accountability and transparency. It feels like democracy has been bought here. Are we still living in a free and fair world? Well,
I think it has got big implications. Clearly, you know, a democracy depends on the trust of its voting public, and this is a big blow to that trust. And really, if you think about it, Britain runs the risk of being seen as a bit of a banana republic if it doesn't effectively deal with some of the issues raised by this.
Thank you very much for your time this morning, Professor Robert Patman.
Thank you.
If you want to send us your feedback this morning, check out our Facebook page. It's Breakfast on One, or flick us an email, breakfast@tvnz.co.nz.